Thank you, Facebook. Woo! Who you gonna call right now? Hello, my name is Jenna. This is 11:11 with Jenna. I am here 7 days, 7 nights, 14 times a week at 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m. But lately, Facebook just hasn't been letting me go live. They keep saying, you are not allowed to live stream. You are not allowed to go live. You are not, all these things that they say. And so,
you are not allowed to live stream.
See?
You are not allowed to go live. You are not. All these
They do.
things
They
that
keep
say.
giving me these little, so I turn it off, then I go back, then I turn it off and go back, and I turn it off and go back, and turn it off and go back. And then ultimately they let me do it. So William, we need to do this soon. We need to figure out how to go. I was trying to think about it last night about 3 o'clock in the morning. How to go live on YouTube, but still go live on Facebook, on Zoom if possible, or at least live on YouTube, and then, because if I have people coming on Zoom, that would be on YouTube, but not live on Facebook. But I think I could maybe turn this around and do a reflection. Oh, look at it. I just turned green. Here, quick, get me some, give me something pink. Give me something pink. Did that help? Not really. It all changed. Maybe if I show, that's all I have right here. That or a cup, brown cup. These cameras of mine, are you Zoom or Facebook? Oh, I'm Zooming right now. This is Zooming. Facebook Live would be different, but I'm just trying to, I had to do it like 6 times. Actually, I did it 4. Turn it off, turn off Zoom, go back, turn off Zoom, go back, turn off Zoom, go back, turn off Zoom. And then it ultimately lets me, or it does after the 3rd or 4th time. I don't really know. But I am live, and you are live. It's public. I'm already public. Thank you so much.
Patty Loman, Patty Loman, Patty, Patty Loman, Patty Loman, Patty, Patty Loman.
It's not the Zoom. No, if it's Tales from the Golden Road is watching. Interesting, Gary. Your Tales from the Golden Road tonight. Feel free to jump on. I'm here. Linda Siriano sent a list of the best. Yeah, but can we multi-stream Zoom? Can we Zoom and multi-stream Facebook and YouTube? But I got to get the TikTok thing. Patty, can your grandkids help me with the TikTok thing? Ooh, who's on Facebook? Ah. Ooh. Okay then. I like. I know. It turns. Did you see my little Chihuahua nap? What's that thing called? Towel. I got the goats. I got the dogs. When do we do the? Yeah, I saw this really cool laundry room thing today on something. It's really cool. It has the washer and the dryer off the ground, and there's a basket above it, and then you pull it down, but you pull out this table that pulls out, and then you can fold your laundry. So cool. So cool. I think I'd seen something like it in my life, but I was really grokking it today. Hello, Pat Moriarty. What's going on? How are you? What are you working on? I know you did that guy with the glasses and everything. So, I think Facebook is telling me that I really need to try something else. But hi, Carl, but I don't know when I have the option to go Facebook Live, Twitch, or YouTube. But Mama Grace with a beautiful face. But William, when I go to YouTube, where does it go? Is it a whole new thing? I don't know. Hello, Brent David Bowen. Hello, Brent David Bowen. Hello, Linda Siriano. What is going on here? I'm just looking at something really fast because I can. I'm kind of curious. Not really, but kind of. I'm a little bit curious about, oh, and excuse me really quickly. Oh, I meant to do that. Brent, thank you. One more time. Thank you very much. You know, you can support the show. What? You can? Yeah, it's really easy. I'll show you how. It's so easy to support the show. Because if you love the show, a generous gift is much appreciated. And you can Venmo it, you can PayPal it, you can Patreon it, you can Zelle, you could buy a t-shirt. And if you buy the t-shirt, you wear it somewhere. I'm cooking a late supper. Ooh, what are you making? What's cooking? Thank you. You're welcome. Hello, Mary. Mary, when are you going to be on the show? Come on. Come on, Mary. Michael Bartoloni. Michael Bartoloni. Oh, thank you. Hold on. Ah, you're so sweet. That does sound kind of boring. What kind of boring gravy? Because boring baked potatoes, baked carrot, and a pepper. And boring gravy. Why would you do that to yourself? Boring gravy. Don't do boring gravy. You can do something to the gravy. So I just don't know if I go, ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Mr. Gary Lambert, one more Saturday night with I want to know about that flower. Hi, Peter Henderson. What's going on? Peter used to live next door to my grandparents in the house that our father designed and our family built. Gary, are you there? It's like, are you there, Gary Lambert? It's me, Jenna. Peter Henderson, Peter Henderson, Peter. Doesn't work like Patty Loman. Trying. Stouffer's creamed chipped beef in a frozen pouch. Wavy. I love Wavy. Wavy gravy is so cool. I need to see him. Next time I'm in the Bay Area, I need to see Wavy. Yeah, that sounds, it doesn't sound boring. It just doesn't sound, do you have any herbs that you can like chop it up? Fish food. Oh, yeah. What's going on, Gary? It says we're playing. Can you hear me?
Potatoes, baked carrot, and a pepper. And boring gravy. Why would you do that to yourself?
So,
boring gravy.
It's a little behind, I see. Bachelor food. Gary's trying to get here, or someone's not letting us be here.
So Gary's trying to get here, or Someone's not letting us be here.
What if I do that? Then do you see me and just a photo of Gary?
Trying to get here, or someone's not letting us be here.
What if I do that? Then do you see me? What a trip. I see there are 11 people here. Oh, now there's 8. We're losing them. Having some kind of technical difficulty this evening, and I don't know. I see myself live here. Let's try this again. Gary Lambert is connected to audio.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. The weird thing is I'm not seeing myself. I don't have a little Zoom window in which to see myself, but I'm just going to have faith. Oh, wait. Start video. There I am.
There you are. There you are. There you
Okay.
are.
Yeah, it was confusing. It wasn't giving me the same prompts it usually gives me, so
But I'm still trying to find us both on Facebook.
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Facebook.
What's happening?
Facebook has been just coming up with these really obnoxious changes that don't make anything any better. That's why, like on my phone, you see me as Tales from the Golden Road because I can't switch it. On my computer, I
Phone,
can.
your Tails. On your computer, you're Gary Lambert.
Yeah, but on my computer, I'm switchable from Gary Lambert to Tales from the Golden Road. On my phone doesn't have a place where I can switch it. It's really, really, I won't say infuriating because that would be imparting too much power to Facebook.
Right. It's just
But it's aggravating and annoying. And I think that's Facebook's purpose in life.
well, I can't get, like tonight I couldn't get on until about 11:14 because they keep telling me I'm not allowed to stream, you're not, and they'll say it in a different way than they say it. So then I have to turn Zoom off and then turn everything off and then go back and try it again and do it. And
Yeah.
usually by the 4th time it does it, but I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, but here we are. And I'm kind of trying to catch up with where we were. Had I just gotten back from New Orleans last time we talked?
I don't think you hadn't gotten back. Well, my niece's wedding was last weekend.
Oh, that's right. So I didn't really get on the show with you. I connected with you and you said, it's over. It's done. There was like too much going on at the wedding. So yes, since I last spoke to you, which I guess is 2 Saturdays ago.
Right.
I was in New Orleans from Monday the 3rd until Friday the 7th.
Nice. Where did you stay?
My friend Melanie, who's my sort of my Wilco show going buddy, and we've been to Jazz Fest together. She loves New Orleans, as do I. She found a really cool little vacation rental bed and breakfasty kind of place, kind of on the fringe of the Garden District, verging into the Warehouse District.
Okay.
And it's just really interesting. This company has been like rehabilitating older houses there, and they're building kind of a village of places that people can do short-term rentals on. I think some places were storm damage that they're fixing up, but they're now also building a lot of nice buildings there. And I think, they're anticipating, doing incredible business when it's Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest and all that. So it was really cool and affordable and, like a nice, like little duplex kind of, had an upstairs and a living room and a kitchen and all that. Of course, we didn't use the kitchen because one doesn't have to cook for oneself when one is in New Orleans.
Where did one go?
First night we went to, well, it was a Monday, so Cochon is not open. So we went to the part of Cochon has Cochon and Cochon Butcher, which is their full operating butcher shop, but they also have a little cafe. So that was where we ate the first night, because the restaurant part was closed. It being Monday, of course, their special is red beans and rice, because Monday is red beans and rice day. So that was awfully good. Because we were going to two Wilco shows, dinner was not really a thing. We were going out for lunches and breakfast and stuff. Went to Elizabeth's for breakfast in the Bywater.
Nice.
Went to the Camellia Grill one morning for breakfast. Um,
Isn't
and
it
then went to,
lovely in October? Don't you just love New
so
Orleans?
it was like it was in the high 70s to mid 80s every day, not humid, which was great. Just utterly beautiful. And then we had our two incredible Wilco shows. The first night could be among the top contenders for best I've ever seen them. The second night was a little looser and more random, but I like when they're loose and random, so that was great too in its own way. And as if they knew I was coming, they played. I think one show was 24 songs, one show was 26 songs. They within the body of the set, they only repeated one song over the two nights, and that was the title song from the current album, Cruel Country. But on both nights, the final encore was a little tune called U.S. Blues, which they've started covering since they did the Philco thing that you and I attended in the Chicago area.
So cool. How cool was that?
That was just so cool. So now like US Blues is part of their regular rotation, and Jeff just relishes singing it so much. And after the first show, I had a really nice hang with Nels Klein, and we had some really great soulful musical talk and all that. And he of course is utterly delighted at the little Grateful Dead turn in their direction, because their music's also getting a little more. They always have had some weird elements to their music within the Americana kind of vibe and their post-punk kind of vibe. But they seem to be stretching out more. And Nels actually attributes that directly to Jeff having fallen into the orbit of the weird old hippies. So it's that's
I like
really
that weird old hippie. Makes me like him more.
that's really pretty sweet. So that was great. Went to Cochon officially, the official Cochon, on our last night in town. Went to Willie Mae's Scotch House for fried chicken for lunch one of the days. The food was totally
Were you mostly walking?
a lot of walking. When it was a slightly bigger distance, we took a lift. And
Any Frenchmen or down in the
we never got
Bywater?
to Frenchman. There wasn't a lot of great music happening on Frenchman, and of course we were out for music a couple of the nights anyway. And then we went to Mickey Hart's daughter, Rhea, who's an incredibly wonderful young person, lives in New Orleans, or she splits her time between the Bay Area and New Orleans. She's also her dad's manager these days. So we were talking about a place to go. We were going to go see the trombone player, Corey Henry, playing in the Bywater. But then she said, let's try something that's not as predictably New Orleans. And she knew this little club called, what is it called? I'm blanking on the name of it, but this, not in any of the major musical districts of town. And there was this amazing Cuban singer, this woman, guitarist and singer, with a very cool band. And now I'm going to space on her name too, but it was like not your expected New Orleans musical experience, and it was really
That's what's
great.
happening more and more there, for sure.
Yeah, it's just such an international place, and it was beautiful. I'll look up her name while we talk, because I really liked her, and I found some of her music online. So that was utterly glorious. And then we got back here. We flew back into New York, where I parked my car in the driveway of my old house,
That's right.
rather than spend what would have been probably hundreds of dollars in long-term parking at LaGuardia. I had the bright idea of saying,
So
hey,
cool.
I still own half a driveway. So I parked my car there.
Still there
Uh,
too.
and then we took a lift to LaGuardia and took it back and drove back up to Connecticut. Hit terrible traffic, got in very late, was very exhausted. Spent Saturday chilling out, and then Sunday morning I drove to Washington D.C. Um, and then I drove back Monday, so it was like a total of 11 hours of driving in a very compressed period, uh, which was a blast. And I went to Washington D.C. because I decided I could not miss
You couldn't.
the last night of Bobby Weir's little residency at the Kennedy Center with the Wolf Bros and the Wolf Pack and the National Symphony Orchestra. And I now, in retrospect, I could not have forgiven myself if I didn't go. It was so
You needed to be there.
incredible. It's well, you did the first orchestral thing Bobby tried. This is like that was where the seed was planted for this. I mean, Bobby's been wanting to do this for as long as I've known him. I've known him nearly 50 years. He's always talked about working with extended ensembles, and he's always had this music in his head that he's wanted to elaborate upon, and he finally saw it through. And the piece he did in Marin, the Marin Symphony, First Fusion, the orchestrator was Giancarlo Aquilante, and he did the orchestrations
Oh,
for
okay.
this much larger orchestra on this much larger stage, and it was just, yeah, I've never been a big fan of like attempts to meld rock with some. It's usually sounds very square and very ponderous, and it doesn't swing and it doesn't rock, and that moody blues kind of
Usually
thing.
the drummer.
Well,
There's
not
in the arrangements. I mean, just the
yeah,
orchestrations.
the orchestrations always seem stiff,
Mhm.
and it always seems to me like a misguided attempt to make rock respectable.
Mhm.
Uh, this wasn't like that. This was not like that. This was, and Bobby actually he made a little speech toward the end of the show, crediting Giovanni uh for the charts. I don't know if they call them charts in the symphonic world, but
Well,
I,
they're like this big, each one of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Each
they're
one.
scores, right?
It's crazy. I
So
have mine, and they
yeah,
each one of them has a. They draw a photo, or draw these beautiful pieces of art on the
yeah,
front of each one. It's incredible.
yeah, yeah. Um, so most of that stuff I find really kind of ponderous. This felt so organic,
Mm.
and the way Giovanni like voiced the strings and the woodwinds and everything was exquisite, and it sounded like it was just spontaneously happening, which is really unheard of in that world.
Right.
And Bobby had his little self-contained band, and he's got his own string player and string and cello, violin and cello player, and horns. Um, but Mads Tolling tore off some great solos, and um, but they also assigned some solos to section players in the orchestra, and they killed it. Like one of his first violinists just she played on Shakedown Street and Jack Straw, and she was truly improvising. She was not like reading
Tough
off.
for a classical trained violinist to do.
Yeah, well,
Unless you're
I
talking.
think it's a generational thing that more of them are getting better at it. I
Mm.
think a lot of older classical players never developed that facility, and some had a disdain for it.
Sure.
But now there are people who are much more open to it. And uh, so Bobby gave this little, acknowledgement at the end of the thing. And he said he felt like um, Giancarlo, excuse me, not Giovanni, Giancarlo Aquilante. He felt like Giancarlo actually, he got inside the heads of the members of the Grateful Dead and turned their like individual contributions into this, multiphonic, beautiful thing. And it worked just spectacularly well. It was just an ecstatic experience. It was so beautiful. So proud of Bobby. And finally got, this is like the first time I've actually been in physical proximity to him since before the pandemic. The last time we'd been in the same room together was New Year's Eve 2019. Well, this was our reunion, and my first time to give hugs and see some of the other cats in the band and all that.
All right.
And he said very emphatically, "We're just getting started with this." He's gonna. I think this could be like the template for the rest of his musical life. So
Hey, when you can hire a symphony
yeah,
orchestra and go to Kennedy Center, did they have a choir, a choral?
no choral group. No, it was just Jay Lane and Jeff Cometti were doing the harmonies. They did a great job. And then sometimes the band laid out. Bobby did the first like 4 verses of Morning Dew, building up to that crescendo that kicks into the guitar solo. It was just Bobby singing against the strings. And then he did all of Days Between without the band, just the strings.
Wow.
And it was so gorgeous. So a lot of high points. I hope, it's always difficult to get the rights cleared to like stream or release, because there's symphony orchestras that are regulated by incredibly tight unions.
Yeah,
stuff.
you get one. When I do it, they usually give you one time to rehearse the song.
Yeah, the expense of all of it is pretty daunting. Luckily, Bobby's one of the people who's in a position to do that kind of thing. But as far as releasing it, I don't know. But I hope he gets to, because it's really.
They videoed the Marin. They were. It was Bill Kreutzmann's son
Yeah, Justin. Yeah.
was gonna make a movie about it.
Right, and they couldn't release it.
They videoed everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah,
They were there for the rehearsals. They were there at the sound
yeah,
check. They were there, and
yeah.
then
I'm sure all this was recorded and documented. Whether it can be released is another story. But it was
he'll learn from it, and then.
it was exquisite, And
I'm so glad you were there. And then you drove back the next day. You didn't
sure,
stay.
I drove back the next day, but having my sense of priorities, I stopped in Baltimore to get crab cakes at Fadley's and brought some home for my hosts here in Connecticut too.
How's that going?
It's going fine.
How's the dog?
I think we've had a breakthrough. She still barks and yaps, but then once I'm in the room, she's like, "Oh yeah, that guy." Yeah.
Good.
I've gone from Satan to "Oh, that guy." So that's a pretty good evolution.
And you have chickens. Do you have chickens and goats?
They do. I've not interacted much with either, but yeah, they have. I hear the rooster in the morning.
Oh yeah.
They have a new very tiny goat who is just so cute. And yeah, it's fine. And I'm trying to get out of here more often, both to get out of their hair a little bit, not be in the way, but also I've been down to the city a few times, and I went to the Capitol to see Phil last night. And
who was playing with him?
It's another one of his things where he's doing like 3 different 3-night mini runs, each with a different band. And the one last night was kind of sporadically wonderful. It was a little too Phil tends to overstuff the sandwich, when he puts these bands together. Like he'll have like 3 guitar players and keyboards and reeds, and it was a little bit. It seemed a little bit hard for players to actually make a statement. It was like there was like a lot of music going on at once, and it's players who aren't terribly well acquainted with each other or haven't played together a lot. So, but it was, Ivan Neville on keys.
Wow.
Eric Krasno and John Schofield on guitars.
Wow.
None of these musicians were anyone to complain about. They had Alex Koford, who's a guy from Phil's circle from the Terrapin Crossroads, on drums. Graham Lesh on guitar. Carl Denson on reeds.
Wow.
Who plays a little too much for my taste. He kind of doesn't know when to lay out, and they brought in the absolutely wonderful Michaela Davis on harp, who couldn't, it took a while for her to be audible in the mix because there's so much else going on. A harp is such a delicate instrument, but then in the second set, they gave her some space where she could really shine. And I hope as the next the subsequent two nights unfold, that they find some other places where because she's amazing. So it was fun. It was really, I mean, like, it wasn't always musically stellar, but just the effort of it was fun. Uh,
And what's your next plan?
huh?
What's the next plan?
The next band, oh, well, they've got the horns from Trey's band, which include Natalie Cressman and the amazing Jan Hartswick and James Casey. Who else is on that run? I forget. It's like he just packs it and packs them in there. A lot of players.
For him,
Yeah,
because he
no,
can
it's
do it too. Because he
I
can
love.
play them all great.
Yeah, I know. I think Phil, he just likes the constantly changing, because he was in the same band for 30 years. So uh,
Is that all?
yeah. Well, 30 for the original, the OGGD, as I call them. But then and then he's had the subsequent Phil and Friends and the Dead and the other ones, and through the Fare Thee Well thing. But since Fare Thee Well, he's been just sort of charting his own path of, like, let's have a different band every time we play.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And what about you? What's next? Who's on your show tomorrow?
Um, who is on our show tomorrow? Oh, there's this guy who's doing an amazing gallery show. He actually owns a gallery in Oyster Bay, New York, that is largely devoted to psychedelic art, poster art, comic book art, that kind of thing. And he's got a big exhibit coming up of dead stuff, so he's going to be on. And it seems to me there might be someone else, but I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Has any talk of you guys getting back into the studio?
I've heard no talk of it, and I'm fine with the way I'm doing it for now.
Right on.
I mean, it'll be more stable for me when I have my own actual space, but
You're fine where you are. You can stay there for a while. Yes.
well, I've actually got. I think my deadline to find something else is probably December 1st, because they have a relative coming here uh, to stay. So, but that's still about a month and a half. So I've got a reprieve till then, and I'm already scoping out other possibilities.
Are you looking at stuff still out that way, or
No, I mean, I'd like to get closer into the city. I might, because I don't know what the status of the house sale is going to be. I might do like a couple of months sublet or something. If I'm not ready to settle into someplace, we'll see.
some people are starting to go out on tour, so maybe
Yeah,
someone's
yeah,
going to be on tour and they're like, "Hey, my place is available for 3 months."
yeah.
Gary Lambert,
Right.
that would be cool. Cool. Well, I'm so happy that that all worked out and you were able to do New Orleans and DC and
Yeah, the DC thing was, like, actually, I think maybe the last day, or the second to last day of my trip to New Orleans. I had planned the trip to New Orleans some time ago, as soon as I found out that those Wilco shows were happening. I don't think I said they played a tiny place, in a 116-year-old 1,100 seat theater.
that's the theater that Will played there with
Uh-huh.
Linda Clark during Jazz Fest.
Yeah, yeah. So
Think of the name. What's it's
the Civic,
Civic.
yeah,
Yeah, they did
yeah,
a
it's
show.
really a little gem of a place, and I don't know if I'd ever get. The funny thing is, right after Wilco played New Orleans, they played a festival somewhere, and then they showed up. They went home to Chicago, and they played 3 shows in one night in this tiny bar.
Yeah.
I guess where they played when they were starting out.
Not Martyrs. Was it at Martyrs?
No, no, it was Carol's Lounge. I mean, a real dive. Yeah. So anyway, as when I found out that, yeah, I pounced on these Wilco tickets, and then I realized that Bobby's symphony thing, which had been originally scheduled for earlier this year, got postponed till October. And I said, "Oh my God, that's when I'm going to be in New Orleans, except for the Sunday." And I said, "I just don't think I could pull it off coming back from New Orleans." And,
Yeah.
and then I said, "Of course I have to go." So, like I said, I got back Friday night was, it had been an exhausting week in New Orleans. You always get exhausted in New Orleans in the best possible way.
I'll sleep when I get home. Let's
Right.
go.
And then I wound up getting up at like 6 in the morning on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, in New
Because
Orleans.
it,
Usually you stay up, but
yeah, it wasn't just going to the concert. I had to get to DC in time to do the radio show from DC.
oh.
So I had to be there in like mid-afternoon rather than evening.
Oh, speaking of changing the subject, did you listen to any of Tom Petty today?
No.
It was Tom Petty Day.
Oh, what was today the anniversary of his passing or something?
Birthday, I think.
Oh, it was his birthday. That's right. Yeah, he passed earlier in October. I remember I was driving to Hardly Strictly when I found out he had died. That's my sort of frame of reference for
I had just seen him in Berkeley.
yeah. That's
New
right.
Orleans,
Yeah,
and then,
well, like his second to last shows, I think, were in Berkeley, and then he played the Hollywood Bowl was his last show. Yeah.
so Tom Petty
And I didn't listen to
died
any.
on October 2nd.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't listen to any Petty.
Yeah, so on his XM
Ser-
show today.
channel, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about, and they did a whole thing down in Florida, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, Tom Petty Day, and
Good.
and they were raising funds for a couple of different funders. My brother and I dug a trench today, about an 8, 9 foot, 4 foot trench,
Hmm.
and then filled it with concrete that I mixed. But I kept saying, "I'm making cookies. I'm making cookies." Felt like I was doing the mud thing, and then he had a lovely day working out there with him, and then I have concrete on me. I learned that it's not cement. I'd learned that a long time ago, but you always say concrete, you don't say cement.
Right.
Right. Mortar. Lots of mortar. Lots and lots of bags of mortar. So I'm a little fatigued, but
I understand. I'm kind of ready to call it a night myself.
all right. Well, thank you so much for popping on, and we're
Yeah.
gonna start. It won't affect you at all, but I'm gonna do some this week. You guys, you'll see me popping on at different times. Hopefully, checking out what it's like to be on YouTube Live and Twitch, and
Okay. Okay.
but it doesn't affect this because this is Zoom.
Right.
Yeah. So,
All right.
all right, Gary
Well,
Lambert, everybody.
I think next Saturday night I think I'm free.
Oh well, I was gonna ask you that.
What are you doing next Saturday night?
What are you doing
I
next Saturday?
I my schedule is so like kind of fluid right now that I will say that I fully hope and expect to be on a level with Jenna.
I'll plan on it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Love you.
Love everybody. Love you too, man. Love hard.
Real hard. Good night.